Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about the power of momentum in software development. Okay, so I didn't do a video yesterday because I was working on a client project, right? I try not to do too much coding myself. I try to get my team to do it and try to focus more on the marketing and client meetings and stuff like that. But we kind of have a backlog of stuff going on, and I just sat down and worked through it. And the reason I didn't stop to do the video was because I was in a state of flow, right? I had some momentum going. Now, if you are a software developer, I know you recognize the state of being like everything just starts clicking, right? You start coding away and things just start, the APIs you're trying to connect to work, everything just works the first time. It gets to the state where you don't want to stop to do anything. You don't want to have lunch. You don't want to get up to go to the bathroom. You just want to keep doing what you're doing because you're afraid that if you leave that momentum will break. And there's so many things that break up the momentum in a software project. Sometimes it could be meetings, or clients could give a call, or if you have small kids, that's definitely one of the cases. And it's really hard to explain to other people that at this point, I can't leave this, right? If I leave this now, it's going to be difficult to get back in, right? There was a really good book about flow by, I think it was Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi. I can't remember his name. I'll put the cover up there, right? And it was a long book, but it was the one premise could have been one sentence, which is when you get in that state of flow, that's when all the productive things happen, right? And sometimes it's really hard to get in there, and you know what this is like. I mean, if you have something where you're coding away and then all of a sudden you hit network issues, that breaks your momentum, and you have to deal with other, like in a company, you have to deal with other teams, you have to deal with other things, or if you have something where a client needs to make a decision, that gets really hard too. Right. So, and the hard part about all of this is just starting, right? And because usually it's like once you get started, it's easy to carry on, right? There was a book I read years ago. This was called here it is, the Twyla Tharp, The Creative Habit. She's like a dancer, so it's all about habits and creative habits and everything like that. But the one big takeaway I took from this book was she said that when she does every morning, her goal is not to go to the gym and work out. Her goal is to get dressed and get in a taxi, because she knows that once she does that, the rest of it takes over. I know for me, to go for a run, because I started doing this after I read the book, is I know that my goal is not to run 6 miles. My goal is to get my gym clothes on, right? My goal is to put my gym clothes on and step out the door and just start running, because I know once I start, then the momentum picks up, and then I could run for miles and miles, depending on how fit you are, obviously. And I find the same thing with software projects. I mean, to be honest with you, this is one of the things that I really have trouble with sometimes, especially in the beginning, is just getting the momentum. It's just opening up the IDE, which I use WebStorm for a lot of stuff. I use IntelliJ for Android stuff. Sometimes it's Xcode, or the Xcode IDE. Sometimes it's just opening that up and looking at the code, or you start looking at things, you think, you start doing stuff, and a lot of times if you hit that resistance, first thing on, like you try something, it's not working, you think, I'll come back to this, and then the momentum never really picks up. Anyway, yesterday was one of those days where I just didn't want to stop. Everything keeps going, and it's really hard when you're in that kind of state, because there's always something else that comes up. I mean, the momentum is going to be broken by something, right? It's going to be, dinner time, or, you have to go home to family, or, a client calls up, or you might have a boss that might want to have a meeting. You might have, network issues. You might have a decision that needs to be made by somebody else. There's so many things that could break your momentum. So when you have it, you have to just latch onto it. And this is one of the reasons why time freedom is really, really important. Being an app developer and working for yourself, you have time freedom. You can start rearranging some things. If you have a boss, you can't just tell your boss, hey, you know what, I'm really into this now. Can we have that meeting later? Because, they think they're important, and they think that they're more important than the project, right? It's probably the same with all creative arts, at least according to that book, Flow. It's the same with all creative things, and software is a creative endeavor. You don't have one way of doing things. It's not like you work in a factory and you go, first I go here, then I go here, then I go here, and there's like a certain set way of doing things. Like with other industries, like say I don't know, maybe plumbing, but you know, when I used to work in a factory, it was just, you know, you knew exactly what was going to happen next. With software, it's like there's loads of different things, ways you could do something. You try one thing and it seems a bit slow or sluggish, so you try something else. You're always trying to keep the code clean and the architecture really good. And you know, sometimes on those really rare occasions where you have full momentum, you know, you realize it's dark and you don't even know where the day went, and that's like the most beautiful thing ever. Anyway, that's where I was yesterday. So I apologize for missing yesterday's video. You know, you know, I'm sure Monday is going to be like, you know, it's going to be the friction of getting the momentum again, and you know, hopefully that's not the case. But anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to you guys on Monday.